Okay, so to compute arcsine of -1 or sine inverse of -1, let me just call this theta to be sine inverse of -1. Then, but please note that I think this is the key point. Your theta has to be between -pi/2 to pi/2. That's the domain restriction for the arcsine. So first, I already know that theta better be between that interval. So if I compose both sides with a sine, then you're going to have sine of theta equals to -1. So you're right. So in this case, it's going to be, 3 pi/2? But let's look at it. Okay, now 3 pi/2 is this point right here, right? So this is 3 pi/2. But the thing is, look at the domain of the arcsine. It has to be between these two. So this is from -pi/2 to pi/2. So what you need to do is you're going to have to compute the angle from starting from the positive x-axis towards this point here. So that way our angle theta is going to be between -pi/2 to pi/2. So that's why this angle right here is going to be -pi/2. So the answer should be -pi/2. Does that make sense? Anyways, let me just box that. Okay, now let's take a look at the next one. Tangent inverse of -1. Right, so again, we can do the same game. So the domain is this. So let me just call this, let theta be arctan of -1. Now again, here is the domain restriction. Theta better be between -pi/2 to pi/2. Okay, so also you can also look at the graph of arctan. But anyway, so this implies that you're going to have tan of theta. It's same thing as -1. So that's same thing. If you want to do the draw the angle, that's fine too. So here tangent of theta is -1. So then we're gonna have, so -1 same thing as -1/1. But remember, all students take calc. Now tangent is negative in quadrant 2 and quadrant 4. So here, let me just pretend that's right angle. So here you're going to have 1 square root of 2. So this point right here is actually x is -1 and then y is 1. And then you can draw the same triangle here. So this is pi/4, that's pi/4. And here you're going to have 1 square root of 2. So this point right here is x is 1, y is -1. But anyways, again, your angle has to be in here, because from -pi/2 to pi/2, so what would it be? It will be this angle starting from the positive x-axis to here. So this would be -pi/4. So the answer to this will be -pi/4. Or you can look at the graph of the tangent graph. Oh gosh, I have to graph this out. So we have a vertical asymptote at a -pi/2 to pi/2. And then your tangent graph goes like this, right? It's never going to touch the pi/2. But the thing is, at positive pi/4, this point right here is always going to be 1. And then also at a negative pi/4, this point is always going to be -1. So you can think of it as arctan of -1 is going to give us -pi/4, because at this point it's going to assume -pi/4. All right, and then let me go with the next one. So we got sine inverse of -√3/2. Now again, the domain restriction is, let me just call this guy theta. So our theta must be inside of -pi/2 to pi/2. Now if it's cosine inverse, then it has to be from 0 to pi. But anyways, we're talking about the arcsine. So then next step, compose both sides with the sine. So you're going to have sine of theta is -√3/2. So if you want to draw that, that's fine. So let me go with all students take calc. Sine is negative in quad 3 and quad 4. So then sine of negative root 3 over 2. So that's same thing as, let me just write it like this. Oh my gosh, this is totally drawn off the scale. But this will be negative root 3, and this will be negative 1. So this is negative root 3 comma negative 1. So this hypotenuse is 2. Now same thing, pretend this is the same triangle. I'm just going to blow it up a little bit. So from here to here, that's going to be pi over 3, right? Because this from here to here is pi over 3. So this point here is, let me see, square root of 3, and then 1 and a 2. So this point here is root 3 comma negative 1. But anyways, again, your theta value has to be between negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So it's in this region again. So starting from the positive x-axis, this angle right here can be measured by negative pi over 3. So this answer should be negative pi over 3. So that's that. So the last one is a sine inverse of cosine of 4 pi over 3. So let me just first call cosine of 4 pi over 3 to be theta. So then we're going to have theta equals to cosine of 4 pi over 3. There we go. So 4 pi over 3 is 4 times 60 degrees, so it's 240 degrees. So you're going to go 180 and then add 60 to it. So here is going to be our terminal point. So this is 4 pi over 3. Sorry, one more thing. Let me see. Well, we can take care of that later. Let's just first compute cosine of 4 pi over 3. And cosine is negative in quadrant 3. So by using the reference angle theorem, this is exactly the same thing as negative cosine of pi over 3. So cosine of pi over 3 is, what is that? 1/2. So this is going to be negative 1/2. So let me just box that. So what we just computed was we just computed this value here. So therefore, let me just bring this down here. So we're going to have sine inverse of cosine of 4 pi over 3. So this is same thing as sine inverse of negative 1/2. Alright, so now we after we're done computing this, and we're done with the problem. So let me call this theta again. Now again, theta better be between negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. Alright, so then now sine is so let me just go like this. So this means sine of theta is negative 1/2. So that means that your angle has to lay in quad 3 or in quad 4. So sine is opposite over the height, or that's how I just look at it. So this length is 1, 2, and then this is square root of 3. So this point right here is negative root 3, negative 1. And we're going to have the, pretend that's the same triangle. Alright, and then here you're going to have 1, 2, square root of 3. So this point is root 3, comma, negative 1. Right? So then again, your angle has to be between in here. So the angle that we're going to take is from the positive x-axis towards here, which is going to be, I know it doesn't look like it, but it's going to be 30 degrees, so which is going to be negative pi over 6. So this whole answer is going to be negative pi over 6.